Three masked gunmen strike in broad daylight, robbing car wash workers in just 30 seconds in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. Stick around and I'll show you how they pulled off this lightning fast heist. Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First.
Two people were washing a car. A Honda Accord passed by them on the street and then doubled back, parking near the home. Well, three people got out of the car. Two of them were armed. They threatened two victims, taking at least a watch from one of them before fleeing the scene. According to the homeowner, the victims were hired to wash his car and had just started their own business.
Have you ever noticed how when a guy is watching a sporting event, or really anything on the television, your wife might try to get your attention multiple times and you truly don't hear any of those until she makes a big ruckus? I think that's a gift for guys for things like, war. Because a guy has to be able to compartmentalize and to focus on a task. And we're really good at that. So the probability of any of us seeing this car double back, it's going to be really low if our attention, our focus happens to be on a task like detailing this car that we just washed. Conversely, my wife, she has a hard time compartmentalizing, and she seems to be able to be in tune with everything going on around her, including multiple conversations, which I think is also a gift so that somebody is going to hear the baby babbling after an afternoon nap. In this particular case, had this victim been more aware, he did have the opportunity to see the car pass by here and then the second time as well, because he was not absorbed in the task. Not everybody is aware. If you'd like to support the work that Humilitas First does here, please consider joining the Humilitas First community at humilitasfirst.locals.com. If you like these videos, I think you're going to love seeing different video breakdowns on that platform. I believe you can join without the financial support, though there will be some videos that are for supporters only. This week's video on Locals discusses some church security essentials. I hope to see you over there. Here's a short preview. Bad guys do odd, unpredictable things. We might imagine in our head that the bad guy is just going to stand up, pull his gun right here. Yet that is not what he does. Instead, he walks back and begins talking to the deacon. The truth, the reality is that the bad guy, he gets to choose the when, that's the timing, and the where that they desire to launch their attack. However, a properly trained team can mitigate some of that. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, if we're going to have a fight with this guy who's dressed up like a freak, a large, puffy, or bulky coat, a fake black wig, and a fake black beard, all the better to conceal his identity with. Well, if he's going to insist on going to war with us, I'd rather do that outside in the scene. I'd rather force that fight, if that's what it's going to be, away from the flock. This is Woodland Hills, a neighborhood which is part of Los Angeles, Monday, September 1st, 2025. It's about 11:30 in the morning. I'll put a link in the description to the raw video on X. The way that the driveway is designed with these walls on each side of it, well, those walls, they act to obstruct your view. You can think of it like a near blind corner. Because this is in and part of Los Angeles, well, I'm not washing my car in the driveway because I know that transient wolves who just happen to be passing by, well, they can and they do often see this as an opportunity, a vulnerability. Okay, so what is a solution? No, I didn't say the solution, but what is a solution? If I have to live in a large metro area or in a large city where there is no shortage of the human variety of wolf, in this case wolves, well, I'm going to do as much of my shopping, fueling up, sports, recreating, dining, car washes, or any other pattern of life activity. I'm going to do those things in a smaller neighboring community with a much lower crime rate. Yes, that might mean that I have to drive an hour outside the city, but the trade-off, that extra gasoline and extra time, well, with a little forethought, that can dramatically reduce your exposure to predatory crime. This is predatory crime. Look, good planning beats being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Looks to me like we have a jogger approaching. Wait, he's no harmless jogger. This guy is concealing his identity and he has a gun in his right hand. But if you think that you're going to see and understand all of this, well, let's see how quickly this happens. If you happen to be standing in front of the car, basically where this camera's eye view is, realize you just had about 4/10 of a second to see and understand, oh, that was a gun in his right hand. The bad guy is way ahead in the process of the draw, and most likely you're not even going to be sure what you just saw. Did you see a gun in his hand? Or didn't you see a gun in his hand? This crew used surprise, speed, and violence of action. The violence of action is the imminent deadly force threat, the guns in their hands. We're only at a second and a half, and the first guy is well on his way to dominating the car wash crew member in the back seat of the car. Let's see how long it takes this guy at the front of the vehicle using the chamois to see and to understand that he actually has a violent problem. Well, he shows that universal sign at just under 7 seconds. You know, sometimes people have to live in a big city for something like a job. Sometimes they don't have a choice. So, providing that you can afford it, I'm going to give you another solution to this type of problem. You could do exactly what the owner of this car did. You can hire a local company to come to your home and wash your car or take care of some other necessity like yard work, especially if your driveway looks like this one. Now, if that's what you're going to do, realize that you're not going to know whether the people you hired are armed or not. So, if some predators show up and they do happen to see them early enough to get their guns out, there could be a shootout happening right in front of your house. So, what I would suggest is if you have a basement, well, I would have the family go find something to do in the basement while the workers do their work in the front yard. Why? Well, because I would want my family and myself to be out of the way of any incoming bullets. During my law enforcement career, sometimes we had to deal with armed confrontations with an individual who had barricaded himself inside of a residence. So we would tell the neighbors, hey, look, this is what we have going on. If you have someplace to go, now might be a good time to do that. If you don't want to leave and you have a basement, then we would recommend to them, consider sheltering in place until this event is over with. Why? Well, because the earth, it's a good bullet stop. That's why soldiers dig foxholes. It's just over 31 seconds, and these criminals are out of here. Hit and run tactics.